Hey everyone, it's Dominic, the Primetime Treasure Hunter. Thanks for coming by to check out another video. We're going to jump into the content in just a moment, but I want to start off with a special shout out to a longtime Primetimer, Leslie Cooper Wiley, who sent me this awesome shirt. It's this Shelby Cobra shirt. I really love it. I got it on Friday in my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, where I set up a sellers supporting sellers initiative activity, and it helped to generate over $200 in sales amongst sellers. There were about 15 items that were sold across 14 to 15 different sellers, and we are going to actually follow up on that with a special Black Friday event. So if you are watching this video before Black Friday, make sure you come to the group. The link to it's down below in the description section, and you'll see details on that later on this week to kickstart some sales amongst sellers once again in the group. We've got over 4,000 members there, so everyone's very supportive of one another. It's free to join, doesn't cost you anything, and hey, you may even make some sales off it, may make money just by being part of the group. And speaking of making money, let's talk about eBay's promoted listings. And that's something that eBay is making a ton of money on, and they are really promoting the heck out of their promoted listings. So you cannot go and list something on eBay without seeing this highlighted as a feature. So for example, even if you go on their app and you go to revise a listing, you're going to see a whole bunch of times where it asks you, do you want to promote your item? Are you sure? Are you sure? You know, even if you go to, create a listing on the desktop, when you get down to the very end, let's say this is a $50 item, right at the very end here, you're going to see it say, sell it faster, promoted listings, and this is automatically what they set for you, which is 7.1%. So what that means is if your item sells, and only if your item sells, eBay is going to take an additional 7.1% off. Now that's, in addition to all the regular fees that you have to pay. So for a $50 item, that's another $3.50 that goes out the door. Now some people are willing to pay that because they feel like they won't make a sale otherwise. And in some instances that may be true. For example, if you're in a really, really flooded market, so for example, if you sell Coca-Cola t-shirts, now there's over, if you look at the search result for that, there's over 4,686 results for Coca-Cola t-shirts. So you could see here, this person sponsored their shirt for $10.88. I don't know what percentage they set, because you could adjust this percentage any way you want. See, you could lower it down to 5%. If you want to, you could lower it to, and you could type it in. So if you want to just set it at 1%, you take only 1% off. Now you're going to get exposure that's commensurate with how high you set the rate. So if you set it up higher, it'll give you more exposure. So, this person has an increased chance of selling the shirt because it's going to be bumped up when someone types in Coca-Cola t-shirt amongst all of these 4,686 items that are there. So in some instances, if you're in a flooded market, it can help you. So the point of this video is not to tell you, I'm going to do a double negative here, it's not to tell you not to use promoted listings, but I want to challenge you. If you are using this indiscriminately with all of your items, I want you to take a step back once I show you what I'm going to show you here and decide whether or not this really makes sense for you to do. Now, eBay may not like, if you work for eBay, may not like that I'm making this video, but it does make sense for people to stop and think whether or not this is appropriate for your business plan and business model, because you have to factor in all of your different expenses and whether or not they make sense or not. So just to give you a brief overview of the promoted listings opportunities that eBay provides, it's available for people who have stores and who are top rated or who are top rated sellers. And as you can see here, what they tell you is that they'll increase your visibility by 30%. And that will make you sell your items quicker. It will increase the chance that you're going to make a sale. You only have to pay when your item sells, so that is good. They don't just charge you no matter what, so it is sale dependent. And you do get to monitor the performance of your campaigns and things like that. And so one thing, if you're not using it, you could trial it out, because as you can see here, if you are a top rated seller, you do get a $30 credit each quarter to try it out. So so keep that in mind. And also, if you're both a top rated seller and you have an anchor or enterprise store, now those are more advanced than the average person's store, you're eligible to receive quarterly credits totaling $55. So, there's ways for you to trial it out and see if it works for you, but just be careful you don't go over that $30 credit each quarter if it's just something you plan on experimenting with. So, now, what I told you is right here. If you're in a flooded market, this might make sense. But ways to avoid having to pay this promoted listing fees, and ways where I would tell you it does not make sense, and ways to get around this, would be if you already have the lowest price or close to the lowest price for your item, and or if you are selling items in a non-flooded category. So you're selling relatively unique pieces. Doesn't mean that you're the only one selling it, but pretty close. There's only a few people, so it's not like there's 5,000 or 10,000 search results that come up. In those instances, I would tell you that if you're paying for promoted listings, you are likely wasting your money. And let me show you some examples of what I'm talking about here. Now, right here, I have an action figure that I just put up. Okay, it's a Ghost Rider, and Ghost Rider, just as an FYI, he's a popular comic book character, and there's some toys that are made up with him, and I have a whole bunch of them that I'm putting up now. And this one here, I don't know how well you could see it, but it does say on the bottom, it has chain whipping action. So you could see here, part of the feature of this character is that he's got this chain, and that this particular toy emphasizes that. So chain whipping action. So there are people that are looking for that toy, and I'm going to go right over here, and I already pre-typed this stuff up just to speed things up for the video. But let me go over here. You could see here, if we just typed in Ghost Rider figure chain, okay, that, and we just hit search, and it's going to bring up automatically under the best match. That's what it automatically defaults to. And what do we see here? Well, we see someone did pay for a sponsored listing. Now it says there that it's $30, okay? But right below that, what do we see? And keep in mind, this is considered above the fold. Both of these listings are above the fold. This one is mine, that I have for $23.99 with free shipping. So let's stop there for a second and consider. Think like a buyer. And a lot of sellers don't do this. They don't think like buyers, but think like a buyer. If a buyer looks at this and sees this one for $30 and then sees the one down there for $23.99, who really thinks that a buyer is going to go and purchase the one for $30? Not likely. The person is going to see this one for $23.99, is going to click on it, and is going to be more likely to purchase this one compared to the one that cost $30. Now, what you could also do is, what a lot of buyers do, is they will not just automatically purchase based off the first one or two items that they see there. They may scroll down a little bit, but what most buyers are going to do, I can't give you specific stats, and maybe I shouldn't even say most, but I will tell you, to be fair, a significant percentage of buyers are going to go under the sorting key right here, and they are not going to sort it by best match. They're going to sort it by price plus shipping, lowest first. So let's go there and see what happens. Okay, now we have some figures that are outside of the box, and of course those are going to show up cheapest as opposed to the ones that are in the box. And look here, we are not in a flooded market. We only have 17 results that show up. That's a lot different than Coca-Cola, where we're having almost 5,000 show up. So we don't have a lot of competition here for this item. We scroll down. Obviously, these are not what we're looking for, so any buyer is going to zoom right past this. And here we go. Now, you might have wondered earlier, why did I have it for $23.99 when someone else had it for $30? That's a big difference. Well, the reason is because when I was doing my research on this item to see where other sellers had it priced, you could see here we have someone who priced it for $25 with free shipping, and we have someone who priced it at $19.99 plus $5 shipping. So either way, about 25 bucks. So I want to get it under that, and you know, for something like this, you just want to put it $1 under where the next highest person has it, so you could see $23.99. So not only do I come up on the first page with a best match search, but I also come up first for the item when someone sorts how a lot of buyers are going to look for it, which is for $23.99, by doing it for lowest price plus for including shipping. So I'm here to tell you that I don't need to pay for a sponsored post in this situation. Why would I do that? Doesn't make any sense. I'm going to lose money. I'm going to be tossing it away. And I could tell you that just based on my own data and my own sales. So for example, just this past weekend, I made 14 sales. So obviously, and that's with 0 promoted listings. And the reason I decided to do this video is my prior video, someone had seen my listings and asked, hey, how come you don't have any promoted listings? And this is why. I want to challenge the notion that you automatically have to do this in all instances. Let me show you another item right here. I have this Atlanta Braves seat cushion. Now this is relatively vintagey, if that's a real word, type of piece, because it comes from, I don't know how well you could see it, but from the old Atlanta Stadium, which no longer exists. The Atlanta Braves don't play there anymore. But this is a relic piece from there, and people, sports collectors, love to have items like this that bring them back in time. There's a lot of people who may remember sitting exactly in these blue seat cushions, and they want that back. So I have it up, I have it listed, and what would someone type in if they're searching for that? They would type in Atlanta Braves seat cushion. Simple as that. So we'll go right over here, and you can see here I already typed it in, Atlanta Braves seat cushion under best match. And what do we have? Well, above the fold, we have 2 matches. We have, now there's more, but these are the top 2 to come out of 76 results. Okay, we have one here that's sponsored, and it's a really cool one. I like it. If I was a Braves fan, I'd be interested in purchasing it, but it's pretty expensive. It's $70, but it's a really cool item. But right below it, you see mine. Now, they're different items. They're not the same exact one. So if someone was looking for the blue one and that's what they had in mind because they remember it, they're not going to purchase this sponsored one. They're going to go right over here. So, you know, just keep that in mind that a lot of times, you know, you will wind up still being above the fold if you're in a relatively unique if you have a relatively unique item, or you're in a relatively niche area in terms of what you're selling. And that's one of the things I would advise you to try to do as you grow your business and expand. There may be an area, like let's say you're a t-shirt seller and you do a lot of t-shirt sales. Well, that's great. And if you are going to be in a flooded market and you need to promote your items, you know, then that's a reasonable strategy to do. But what I'm also telling you to do is try to branch out into selling some items that are in non-flooded markets, so you don't always have to pay that promoted listing fee. Let's go to another item right here. This is the 1945 Captain Midnight Secret Squadron. Now, I did not type in the year because I was trying to replicate what someone might realistically do searching for an item like this. And this would not be, you know, the type of person searching for an item like this, since it is so old, would tend to be someone who may be shopping for a Christmas item for their parents, who grew up with Captain Midnight. If you don't know, Captain Midnight was a radio personality, and he, you know, a lot of people who are, you know, grandparents now, you know, grew up listening to Captain Midnight. So a lot of people, like in their 70s, for example, and you know, so some, you know, adult child might want to buy something for their parents to remind themselves of it. So they would type in Captain Midnight's Secret Squadron, which is basically like a fan club that he had and stuff. And if you see right here, we have 2 items listed. We have the 1945 Captain Midnight Secret Squadron official book right there. But then, now that's $45 plus $3.40 shipping. But then you have one below it. It's the same exact thing, and right there, this is mine. It's $29.99, so it shows up above the fold. And so, which one are you going to pick? Are you going to pick the one for $45, or are you going to pick the one for $29.99? Now, you might want the one for $45 because the one for $45 includes the original envelope that it was mailed in, as you can see, and I don't have that. I do have that envelope for some other sets that I purchased recently, not Captain Midnight, but like Roy Rogers and Felix the Cat and some others. You might remember that in a recent haul video. So I'm getting these things listed. Remember that haul video where I showed that rack of magazines that I went through? I've already sold some things off of that, and I took out those file folders that had all of those paper materials in it. Well, this is one of them. So this was here, didn't have the envelope, but if someone's searching for it, they may just purchase this one. They might say, I don't need the blank envelope, I'll just purchase this for dad, and maybe they'll like that. But the point is again, you could see here, it's not a flooded market. There's only 9 results that come up, and right there I'm right there above the fold. And so, I don't feel that I need to do any type of promotion for the item because I'm coming up right above the fold anyway. If we look at a couple more items here, this one only has 2 results. This is a 1984 Power Pack promotional poster, and right here, I'm #1 in the search. Under best match, I don't even have to sort it by lowest price. Power Pack is a comic book that was out in the 1980s, and so this is a promotional poster that used to, well, it wasn't even for sale. It was just a promotional poster that comic book shops would hang up, and so a lot of people like to collect these things. So here's someone who's selling it for $29.97 plus $12.90 shipping, and I'm selling it for $23.99. Kind of a no-brainer in terms of if someone's going to search for this, who they're going to purchase it from, given that my feedback is great and it's free shipping and there's no real defects with the product or anything like that. So no need for me to pay. Why would I pay to promote this item? Doesn't make any sense. Let me take you through one more where there's maybe a little bit more competition. This is a DC Universe Rebirth Omnibus book. So it's basically a hardcover book that collects a bunch of superhero stories in it that came out recently. And if you look, there are several other people that are selling this item, but I clearly have the lowest price at $59.99, free shipping. There's no defects, nothing wrong with the book. And this is what it comes out under best match. But, let's say... let's just say, for example, this person had done a sponsored post, the person who's selling it for $78.29, and it went above mine. I'm going to just take you back to what would happen, over here in this situation with the Ghost Rider item, which is the person's going to see $78.99 or whatever, and is going to see mine for $59.99. They're going to purchase, they're going to click on mine. They're going to be more likely to click on it regardless of whether or not this person has a sponsored post. And so let's see, yeah, so regardless of that, it's going to be very obvious from the first page which price is highest and which price is lowest. And then of course, if you went to sort it by lowest price plus shipping, you're going to see that mine is going to come up first either way you sort it. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that there are other ways to promote your items without having to pay anything for it. And I tend to do this when I have items up for auction. I don't do it too much, but if I have a super, super rare item that is in really high demand and is just not something you're going to come across often, then I start promoting it on my social media accounts. And this is why you definitely, as a reseller, need to have a social media account. Instagram, if you're not on Instagram, you 100% need to be on it. It's a great way to interact, one, with other resellers, but two, once in a while, I will use it to promote my items. Like you could see here, this is a very rare box set of, it's a comic book series called Gen 13. They don't make it anymore, but they used to. It was popular in the 90s. And this is an artist proof set. So in other words, they came out with this set in a black box, not as opposed to this red box that you see here that was signed by certain artists. And you may think, well, that would make it worth more that it was signed by certain artists, but not for this one because this was so rare to have this red box that came out, so it's kind of a supply and demand issue. Plus, with it not being signed, that gives collectors the opportunity to get other people to sign these books. that were not part of the original black box set. And so I have this up for auction right now, and you can see here I put a little ad together for Instagram that says auction ends on 11/24, the super rare Gen 13 artist proof set only at the Primetime Treasure eBay store. And then right over here I put another description of it, as opposed to just putting a promo in the actual picture itself, because not everyone's always going to read the description. So I like to, if I can, try to fit something into the image. And if you're curious, I made this with a program called Canva, canva.com. It's free to use that to make images. There's some things you have to pay for, but you could do a lot of basic features for free. And then you strategically use a lot of hashtags. So you see hashtag Gen 13, hashtag comic book, hashtag, resellers, eBay. You're just trying to think of hashtags that would bring people into look for whatever it is that is your topic of interest that you're reselling. Plus, another thing I like to do is try to find Facebook groups that are interest groups that are permissive of you putting links into there for an item that you have for sale on eBay. Now, there's a lot of comic book reselling groups that I am a member of that explicitly say you cannot put any listings for your items in there, so I just avoid it. But this one right here, it's the J. Scott Campbell fan group. J. Scott Campbell is an artist who made the Gen 13 comic book series, contributed to a lot of books, and signed a lot of the books in the black box set. And so I made sure I checked all the rules. It was okay to list and to put this link in here. So you see what I wrote. Figured that some Gen 13 fans would be interested in seeing one of these. Many don't even know that they made an artist proof red box set. Some great CGC possibilities there. That means if people want to send it off for grading, especially with the blank sketch cover. So there's a blank sketch cover, which is basically a blank page for the cover that you could commission an artist to put a drawing on there and and ink it and sign it for you, and it would be a unique piece that only you have. So that would make it very sellable. There's a lot of potential value in there. And look what we have here. We have a fan, J. Scott Campbell fan, wrote back, "I never saw it. It's amazing. Perfect. That's exactly what I need." So I only have this up for approximately 2 days, and I already have 21 watchers on the auction, and that's what you want. You want to generate all that interest and gin it up, so at the last day, people start bidding it up like crazy. So that's what I'm looking for, and I did not pay anything. I'm not paying anything to promote it. Why would I pay anything to promote it? It doesn't make any sense. If I just went right now over to eBay and I just typed in Gen 13 red box set, it's gonna pop up. So we'll do Gen 13 red box set, and should show up here without any problem. Let's see here. Sometimes my connection down here is a little bit slow, and there you go, right there. So the price is going to jack up more towards the end. Right now it's only up to $16.50, but I'm not worried about that. The last day, the last 5-10 minutes especially, is when things are going to go crazy in terms of the price. So I might do a follow-up video just to show what happened exactly with this item and how I researched it and developed the knowledge in terms of what this should be worth, and just some information about the rarity of it. So, but that's for a follow-up video. To sum up, promoted listings could make sense in some situations if you're in a flooded market, but if you're not, again, I want to challenge you. Think twice. Do you really need to do promoted listings? Make sure you look and see whether or not you have the lowest price for your item. If you do, and you're not in a flooded market, or even if you are in a flooded market and you have the lowest price, think like a buyer. Buyers are going to often search by lowest price. In that instance, if you're very competitive with your price, and or if you are in a unique or relatively unique area, you're selling a niche type of items like the ones that I showed you here, my opinion, no need to do promoted listings. Now, this is not only my opinion. If you look at Craigslist Hunter, for example, he has independently come to the same exact conclusion as I have. He does not do promoted listings on any of his items, and he's one of the most successful sellers on eBay in the reselling community. So, I pretty much right now, in terms of my numbers, and many of you know, I do this on the side. I have another full-time job that has nothing to do with reselling. And right now I'm pulling in about $6,000 every 2 months selling stuff on eBay with zero promoted listings. Okay. So it's not mandatory. You don't have to do it. And, it just really depends on what your situation is. So I'd be interested in hearing your feedback on it. If you're going to take a second look at whether or not this is something that you might want to cut down in terms of an expense, let me know how it works out for you. If you do a little 1 week experiment, for example, and track your sales, see if the items are selling, if you get them in a competitive category. And by the way, it has to be a competitive category that's when I say competitive category, it has to be in a category that, I shouldn't use the word competitive, has to be in a category that is desirable. It's unique, but it's desirable. So sports collectibles, for example, are desirable. There's going to be someone who's looking for this Atlanta Braves seat cushion at some point. It may not be within a week. It may take 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but eventually someone's going to want that and is going to pick it up. So you will make your sales. Almost all of my items eventually sell. Maybe you have to wait a little bit longer if you don't use the promoted listings in some instances. But if you're not in a flooded market, your items should generally sell, as long as your price is good and as long as it's highly desirable. So that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If so, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let other people know as we continue to grow. Remember, come down to the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. The link is in the description section. And follow me on Instagram. That's @prime_time_treasure. Hope you liked the video, and I'll see you at the next one, everyone. Take care.